Just the back here.
I'm Justin. When you talk about added value, what level do you go to as far as, like, do you put bathrooms or kitchens in, or you just paint the place, or like adding bedrooms, or like what are you doing as far as added value? Like what level?
Okay. So Justin's question was, to what level do you go to with adding value? Do you go put whole kitchens and bathrooms in, or do you maybe just do simpler cosmetic things? My philosophy on that is, well, I again would look at the sort of the numbers and the possibilities, and I'd think, okay, if I did all of that stuff, let's say replaced the kitchen, maybe added a bathroom, did all that stuff, would that really be adding enough value that I feel I'm getting a good return on it? And really, for me, I like to get the most added for the least outlay. So it's rare that I would want to do a lot. The least I can, the better. And I find there's like a bit of a point where the more you spend on a property, the less your return as like a percentage on what you're putting in would be. Like some people might have a formula, for every $1 they spend renovating, they want to make $5 in added profit. But if you spend and spend and spend, you won't be making $5 per dollar after a certain point. So case by case, you'd need to think, well, how far do I want to take it? And also think, time to do more will take longer. That adds holding cost. Is that still going to be worth doing that? If I can take a profit sooner and use it again, often that's better than getting stuck on one thing for too long, just from my point, like my experience on that. So, and I guess to answer that question a little bit differently, my favourite way of doing it would be to find something that you don't need to spend a lot on, but it just needs a little bit of a visual makeover, and knowing that that's very cheap to do but could add a lot of value. I sort of feel that's more my comfort zone than trying to get into bigger projects. So, yeah. So case by case though, if you find a property where you go, wow, it's got like a real chance to make it a whole lot more valuable if I spent this and did this and all that, and it stacks up, well, you certainly consider it. Yeah. Yeah.
Jason, I was just going to say there may be some people who are thinking that, gee, you sound really convincing about what you're saying, and may be interested in doing some investing, like alongside you.
Oh, okay.
I would just like to say that we've known Jason for some time now, and he saved us from a disastrous real estate decision. He had the for sale signs in his car and he said, do you really want them, or do you want to think of another way of doing it? And we were saved from that really disastrous decision. I just want to say that if anyone's thinking of maybe doing some investing with you as well, that Jason is a man of great integrity and honesty, and is always very generous with information and knowledge that he's gained. Just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks. I guess one of the things I love to do is give people a new possibility they mightn't have had before. And Rita, I remember with you thinking selling was the only way, but yeah, there was another alternative. So often when you're under pressure, especially financial pressure, you start to feel like your options are limiting, they're reducing, and you may have only one option you can see. And something I guess I do for people is if they just want someone to bounce ideas off, or they want to say, well, is there another approach to this? I really enjoy that. That's part of the reason I do this discussion, is that for yourselves and myself, it might give us a new idea we can take away and think, well, gee, maybe I don't have to sell that property now, or maybe this tax bill I've just got isn't such a big deal because I've got some other option that I didn't have. So, yeah, so that's, yeah, thank you very much for the comments. Yeah. So, any other questions, or would anyone like to recommend something that they've done, whether it's a course or a book they've read, or something that you feel, wow, it just took you to the next level, like it changed from where you were to something better? Is there any suggestion that we could, just hear from anyone? I saw a little hand go. No, oh, okay.
It's a good property investment group. I've heard of it.
Okay. Is it very close by? Jonathan? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to gain as much information as you can through, it could be a course or it could be simply reading books. I know reading books can be a hell of a lot cheaper than going to a course where it could cost you many thousands of dollars. And by reading different books, you get to understand different ways of investing in property, because as you know, there are a lot of different ways of investing in property. It could be the Jan Summers technique, there's Margaret Lomas, there's Michael Yardney, John Burley, of course. They've all got different ideas, different strategies, different ways. They all work in their own right. It's just a matter of, when you read these different books, one of them will click and you say, I really like that way, that really suits my individual circumstances, and you may then use that book and then put it into action. So I think it's important to actually just keep gaining knowledge and learning and educating yourself, because there is a strategy that is right for you.
Thank you. All right, well, just before I wrap up, I'll ask a favour to see if someone is willing. In the little action steps idea, I mentioned think about a short-term action you could take, as well as medium or long-term. Would anyone be willing to volunteer a short-term action that they could take that they think might also maybe help somebody else in the room, just in the sense that it's something that if you took this step and someone else took it, well, it'd just be a useful step for, say, all of us to take. So just again, hoping to get a little bit of sharing both ways. Has anyone come up with an action step that they could take and hopefully will take that they're willing to share?
I spoke to Jonathan before. I've got
Yep.
a couple of properties which are negatively geared, and I want to
Okay.
try and positively gear them
Great.
just to see, help someone else get into their property.
Yeah. So if, yeah, fantastic. So you've got a situation that's not comfortable and you're thinking, well, I will take a step towards seeing if I can make it even better. Or, yeah. So maybe an action step, if you haven't written one down or still trying to work one out, is just to think, well, what are you, let's say, unhappy about right now with something that you're doing in your investing, and then just say, instead of focus on that, then just ask yourself, having recognised that, so what do I want? So it might be you're unhappy about a negatively geared property, so you'd say, well, so what do I want? And then the answer would be either positive cash flow or you know, whatever the answer is. So I'm just suggesting part of getting clarity sometimes is recognise something you're unhappy with, but then just ask that little question, so what do I want? To get the positive, get the thing that you want to move towards. You don't want to focus on what's holding you back, because you'll just get stuck. But if you realise what's holding you back and you ask the question, so what do I want? It might move you forward. So I'll leave it at that, and we can move into the networking part. Yeah, that's great. Thanks everyone.